Good evening, good afternoon, and good night to some. This is Reginal Drummer, the Peopleologist, and welcome to another episode of We Are Ready, where we prepare ourselves to be ready for almost about anything. Whatever's coming our way, if we prepare ourselves enough, in my opinion, I think we can weather the storm. But it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of preparation as we continue to pray, fast, meditate, and strategize during these pandemics, and pandemoniums. Tonight's show, we're going to be talking about the depression, inflation, and the recession, all in 2023. Now, there's a lot of doom and gloom, a lot of things going on. We're going to unpackage it real quick. We won't be long, but we will unpackage certain things and try to give some solutions on things that we can do to prepare ourselves, our families, and our communities. I encourage you to like, share, subscribe, thumbs up, get those algorithms up over here. Square Mile Media Atlanta. Share it with your friends and loved ones, and be ready to share this video with people that you know on all the social media platforms. If you've been paying attention, you don't have to pay attention. You can go to the grocery store. There's rising food costs. I think bread is anywhere between $5 to $10 a loaf. Milk, anywhere between $7 and $15 a gallon. Eggs, $5 to $10 a dozen. Gas, $5 to $10 a gallon. This is in the U.S. and those numbers on the low end, and what's expected to come before June. This is just something put into your face. Also, rent's going up. The average person will be paying anywhere between 100 as high as $300-400 extra every month. Insurance prices going up. Whether it's your car, your medical insurance, your homeowner's insurance, all that's going up. Medical expenses going up. It's going up. And meanwhile, the job market is what they call normalizing, which means they are laying people off. They are letting people go. They are downsizing. You look at some of the big companies, a lot of the tech companies this week, totally, they've almost laid off 100,000 workers within the last 3 days. Amazon, Capital One, Goldman Sachs, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and a lot of others. There's going to be a lot of places that are going to close because they're just not going to be able to keep those doors open. It is what it is. But let's just see what Webster's definition of Google for depression. A depression, I think the last time we had a big one was in 1929. If you go through history, you'll find out what happened. It got hard. It was hard when it started, and it got worse before they finished, but people made it through. A depression is a severe and prolonged downturn in the economic activity. A severe downturn in the economic activity. In economics, a depression is commonly defined as an extreme recession that lasts 3 or more years. Okay? Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. Inflation is typically a broad measure, such as overall increase in prices on cost of living in a particular country. A recession can be defined as a sustained period of weak or negative growth that is accompanied by a significant rise in the unemployment rate. Many other indicators of economic activity are also weak during a recession. Every one of us will be affected differently by something like a recession. Even during the Depression, there were companies that won and companies that lost. Somebody's going to do well, and then somebody's not going to do so well at all. It is what it is. We're going to have winners and losers. There would be a definite line in the sand between the haves and the have-nots. The haves and the have-nots. These are the people that have the ability, no matter how much they go up on the price of eggs, the cost of living, they will still be able to survive. Okay? They will come out on top. Okay? And then there are the have-nots. These are the people that won't be able to afford a lot of these things that they normally would get. A lot of the luxury items. You'll find that people, the same time, there would be people that would be buying things that they want and need, and then there would be people that will wish they could buy things they want and need, and that would happen. And we ask ourselves, what caused all this? Well, that's a good question. You can say the pandemic during COVID since 2019. There's been a call to return back to normal, but was there a normal? Was there a normal before all this happened? But will we return back to what people had been accustomed to doing? But a lot of people were catching hell before COVID. And then when COVID hit, that put a lot of pressure on a lot of people. But it changed how we worked, how we went to work. Did we want to go back to work at all? Okay. And then you had the war in the Ukraine. That affects a lot. Most of us never figured that that war will affect how we do things over here in the United States. But it did, and it's still doing it. We pulled out of Afghanistan and got right back into not necessarily a war, but our involvement money-wise, putting the money on it. And a lot of raw materials, whether it be petroleum products, things of that nature, come from around that area. And then China had a lockdown because of COVID. China had a lockdown because of COVID, and that put a lot of companies that was waiting for these chips to come and all these other things that affected the supply line. That's the supplies. Everything we get, everything we need. Cars couldn't be sold, so that affected everything. Car sales. That affected everything. And yet people still bought cars, and that also affected unemployment. A lot of people filed for unemployment. I forgot the numbers. But there were more people on unemployment between 2019 and 2021 than ever in the history of America. That's a lot of strain. So, America's saying to itself, we got to get this money back. Companies say we got to get this money back. We got to get our earnings up. We got to get our earnings up. We got all these people, and we got to get some money. We got to get a return on our investment. So companies started cutting back, downsizing, basically letting people go. As they let people go, that affected people's livelihood, especially now. We'll see people coming in from California. A lot of the high-tech companies, when they come here, you can take Atlanta, but what they were paying out west was a lot higher than what we pay. But the prices in Atlanta, homes, rental property, everything has gone up. The price all across America has gone up. So there would be people coming in that will be laid off, but are searching for new jobs, and they will come into the system and replace others. They would take those high-paying jobs, and then it would create lesser jobs for others. Like I said, there would be winners and losers, haves and have-nots. We have to ask ourselves, what can we do? What can we do? Food prices, all this stuff going up. How can we put ourselves in a position? That's where we have to be ready. Okay. Now you can uh, sit down. It's not as bad as it could be. And no matter what, somebody's always able to survive. Like I said, during the Depression, even the rich people that had money couldn't believe they could survive. And some of them either took their own lives or just went into a depression outside of an economic depression. However, meanwhile, back at the ranch, there were many people, especially uh, black people and a lot of poor whites, they were able to survive the depression. I remember my grandmother telling me stories about what they did. Uh, and those things can work today. Some of the same things that they did to withstand the pressure of an economic downturn can be used today. Same things. Growing your own food. Growing your own food works whether it's a pandemic, a pandemic, or a pandemonium. If you can grow food, if you can grow food, you will be in a better position than a lot of people. And you don't have to grow a lot. You don't have to grow a lot. You can start out growing herbs and spices, carrots, peppers, all those things, believe it or not, will sustain you in uh, a food starved environment where people can't get the food or people food has been so priced out of the range of the normal individual that either you got a choice, eat out of the garbage can or nothing at all. And believe it or not, that's what was happening back in 1920s when that Great Depression. People were literally getting the food that animals couldn't even get. That's how bad it got. Well, we can also put ourselves in a position where we can put ourselves on some type of plan. Okay, you can reduce the amount of food that you eat. The average American eats more food than anybody else on the planet. The average American eats more food and wastes more food than anybody else on the planet. But if we could reduce the amount of food that we eat, our dependency on food would go down. Couple survival strategies for times of high inflation. We're showing you this here. There are a couple things that you can do to change uh, so many things. Going back to food, reward programs, coupons, uh, reassess your spending habits. If you go into, if you go into the store buying something, make a list so you don't overspend. Take on debt sparingly. Avoid variable rate cards. And that's like credit cards. A lot of people paying 22 and 30% on this money. Become a sale shopper. Oh, critical. We used to laugh at people cutting out coupons, but guess what? You better find a way to do it. Maximize loyalty and reward programs. You find anything. If you're a senior citizen, go shop with someone that maximizes the reward. There are certain stores that give you discounts or rewards. You go to the CVS drugs sometime, you save as much as $10 on $100. That makes a difference. Okay. Be strategic with savings. Yes, with this high inflation, you got to figure out ways to get to maximize. If you do save money, and sometimes you're not going to make a lot of money in a saving account, but if you save something, you'll have some money to fall back on. But these are some strategies, and I hope you guys look at those because these are things we can do. That's a budget. Get you a budget and stick to that budget. You'll survive this pandemic, or pandemonium, depression, inflation, and recession. Okay. Remember, remember, people back in the day, they didn't have as much money as we have today. Our grandparents were able to survive. They could go out in the backyard and pick something up to eat. Okay. If you hadn't thought about it, you might want to buy a chicken. If you hadn't thought about it, you might want to buy a chicken to produce your own eggs. Yeah, you might want to do that. There's so many things you can do. But going back to saving money on what you're spending, if you get discount cards, discount if you're a senior citizen, a veteran, what a senior citizen, a veteran, you might want to buy a shop only on the days that they double up the coupons. There are people. I was in a line and this lady was taking a long time to check out. This has been a couple of years ago, and she had a pocketbook full of coupons. A pocketbook full of coupons. Now she just wasn't buying at random. No, everything she bought, there was a coupon for it. Everything that she bought in that grocery store, there was a coupon for it. And when she left out, I think she only had about $7 or $8 worth of cash that she gave to the lady at the cash register. Out of all that food, and I'm talking about people was, you know, going in their back pocket trying to get the EBT going, all this type stuff. $200-300 worth of food. This woman flipped those coupons out, and they was deducting all that money off of things. Plus, there are coupons that you can mail in. A lot of us don't take the time to do it. A lot of us don't take the time to do it. You already got a discount at the store, but you mail these coupons back to the company, and they'll send you either a sample or some more coupons. They're going to either send you a sample or more coupons. So these are ways that people are doing to save, reduce money. So one of the big things we should always be thinking in a depression type situation, 2023, inflation situation like here in 2023 is coming. A recession like we're going to face here in 2023, we should be figuring out ways to either share, reduce, or eliminate costs. We need to go on a spending fast. Share, reduce, or eliminate costs. That means you might have to team up with family members. You might have to start buying in bulk. Uh, uh, Collaborations, meaning that you have to figure out ways to collectively buy. Apps like Kroger have digital coupons and extra savings not advertised in papers. Oh, yes, you got these apps. You can download apps. I was in, matter of fact, uh, Kroger's, Walmart. You save more money buying it off the app. It is what it is. And then you can strategically order and see stuff. You know, none of that what they call impulse buying. You reduce that, and you'll be surprised how much money you keep in your pocket, especially now. Also, you might have to barter. Now, that's a term that goes back. You might have to barter or trade. If you don't have the money or the resources for food, clothing, and shelter, you might have to use some of your skill sets to help out. And this is where community living will come back in the fold. Community living. I was recently at a home, and that was a big house, 4 bedrooms, about 3 baths, basement, all that. There were, it was in the team. It was at least 15 people living in that house. Now, these are full grown people. 15 people, that meant that there was at least 5 separate families. Okay? Now you got to think, if that mortgage in that house was $2,500 or their rent was $2,500, they split it up and chopped it up, what, 5 ways, because kids was in there, but that was, they had a system. I mean, I was like, wow. And they got along because they were saving money. They were saving money. And that's what's going to have to happen. You're going to see people team up. You might have to reach out to family members and dig deep because it's going to get hard. If you're an older person, or even a younger person, you have to figure out ways to fit into your family. Sometimes you might have to go outside your family to find people that work together effectively. Okay, you got to to find people that say, you know what, I want to win. Okay, I want to be one of the haves instead of one of the have-nots. And the only way you can do that is team up. Understanding bartering, yes. Oh yeah, when you barter, you exchange one set of goods or services for another without using money. Before the invention of money, bartering was the most common type of trade. When bartering, two parties make may estimate the value of the goods or services to be traded. Bartering allows parties to exchange assets and don't need or want for assets that they do not need or want. It can be more common in communities or small parties that have limited access to money. Bartering. See, that's a way of putting yourself or your family in a better position. There are things that you can do if uh, if you you got somebody that might cook, might have somebody that can do the maintenance. You got people that can fix or repair things. You can put yourself in a position where you can move a community or maintain a community without spending money. You know, all these things are possible. I've seen people, and we always got a story. I've seen people that share this ride sharing, share the same vehicle. They were taxi drivers. They ran that vehicle. They came together, about 4 or 5 of them, and they bought a vehicle. Because they've been working and living and sharing together, and they ran that vehicle all day and all night, Ubering, and what's the other thing? Lifting and running taxi, taking people back and forth. They teamed up and provided transportation so that the ones that went to work, one person drove everybody to work, picked them up, took them grocery shopping, all this stuff. That was the person with the car. But that also was that person was able to exchange what? For the rent. And another one, I think, worked at the gas station, so they got discounts on gas. But these people started bartering and exchanging the things that they could do. See, during a hard time, we got to use our mind. We say over here the secret of walking on water is just knowing where the rocks are. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care how severe it might look. Like I said, in the 20s, when rich people were jumping out of buildings, people were shooting themselves in the back of their farm. My grandmother said they were blowing their brains out because they couldn't. People were coming to take the farm. Meanwhile, there was poor black folk that still survived. Still survived. They slept in the woods. Now I'm not saying you got to go that extreme, but if you had to get off the grid, if you had to live outside, you would have to know how to be a hunter gatherer, how to go out and get some, get what's out there, what's available. And believe it or not, that might be something you want to get familiar with. I had a gentleman on a program not a couple of years ago. He said he was a backyard shopper. Basically, he could find what he needed in his backyard. His backyard was the woods. But I advise you to do your homework before you go out there and start eating off whatever was out there. It might not get that bad, but he was eating the squirrels. He was frying squirrels, rodents, possums, anything that crawled in the woods. He would put it on the grill. Okay, but these are things that we have to be thinking about. If we're going through life in a casual mindset, we're going to be a casualty. You'll be a casualty. You think the grocery store going to be open? They'll be open. But can you go inside and pay $10 for a crate of eggs? 12 eggs? Almost what? $1 an egg? Can you pay? Are you willing to pay $12 for a gallon of milk? Okay. You might want to try to grow some coconuts or something like that, or eat almond milk, something. But anyway, those are things that we got to be really thinking about. If you don't want to be at the mercy of whoever and whatever shows up, then now's the time. Well, it's been time to prepare. That's one of the reasons we constantly put it out to prepare ourselves in times of peace. Before the war comes to you, believe it or not, it's coming. And if you, I think we shared this one time before, this will help people. You might want to sit down and take a deep breath. But one thing you can do, you can reduce, at least slow down uh, how much you spend out. Okay, it's going to take a little discipline. It's going to take a little discipline. Um, Sometimes the only way to get yourself into a position that's going to be better for you is shock treatment. And if they just went up, the prices, everything went up. Eggs got to be $20 a carton, milk was $20 a carton. It would be shock treatment. People only got one or two things they can do. They could either steal it or do without. And well, they could do three things. You could still pay $20 a gallon. You could do without, or you'll find a way to steal it. Or you can find a way to work with others to go get it, okay, without stealing, barter share. But you would still have to figure out a way to reduce how much you intake in order to share it with the, the others, okay? So one of the things we did look at was how to put yourself on a fasting period. The fasting is just like a budget, just like if you do a budget, it's like a spending fast. You focus on reducing the amount of money you spend. I mean, you really start looking at it. You start looking at whatever hits your wallet and monitoring what goes out. And you do it strategically across the board. You look at everything. You look at everything. And if you can reduce the amount of money you paying on external stuff, we look at even though rent is going up in a lot of people area. Okay, might go up 100, 100, $200. Well, you got to have a place to stay. You got to have a place to stay. So you got to figure out something. You got to say, okay, rent's going up, but I can control uh, my utilities, how much I pay. You might want to turn it down or turn it, keep, save. Those things like that's costing you extra money, food. If you can reduce the amount of money you spend on food, if you can reduce the amount of money you spend on food, that's going to help you. If you can take it down from what $200-300 a month, especially uh, with what's going on now. If you can get some type of assistance, that's the other thing I want to bring in there. If I almost forgot, if you can get some type of government assistance, get that. Oh man, anything will help. How do you survive everything? Oh yeah. Well, these are the tips. Start preparing now for a job loss. Oh yeah, right now. Act like you don't have a job and get yourself into the mindset of what you do without a job. Okay, work on a resume. Now, if you want to get back in the workforce, these are some things you need to do. Work on a resume. If you haven't polished up your resume, look at your skill set. Now's the time to do it. Reach out and network with people. Let others know your skill sets. Build up an emergency fund. They say you got to have at least 3 to 6 months of emergency money, just in case. Not if when they lay you off, but when they lay you off. Look for new opportunity. Always be looking for new opportunity. Don't sit in your job and just stay there until they ask you to leave. Keep looking and learn a new skill. You'd be surprised. The people that learn new skills, okay, how old you are, how young you are, the more things that you have, they might call it jack of all trades. But if you know a lot and know how to do some things, you become valuable. So learn some new skills. Look for ways to cut costs. If you uh, have to go to work, you got to look at ways to either slow down how much money you're spending going to work. Whether it's traveling there, you might want to carpool. I remember I had a job and I would carpool people to work. I made an extra $20, $30 a week, taking people back and forth to work. Easy money. You got to figure out also selling stuff at work. You got to figure out ways to diversify your income. Okay, diversify your income. Now, if you got some extra money, you can start now saving some money. Okay, I might as well throw this out there. Over the next 100 days, uh, you know, and let me put this out. Don't panic with your investments. Don't start pulling all your money out of your stocks. If you got any stocks, anything like that, don't mess up your portfolio. Try to ride the wave a little bit. Try to put yourself in position so you don't go out and blow prematurely any money. Because like I said earlier, guess what? And this is a secret. Even during a depression, inflation, or recession, guess what? You can make money. It's a good time to buy or invest. It's a good time to buy or invest because stuff is cheaper. Stocks are cheaper. Companies, like I said earlier, there were more people that came up during some of these hard times because somebody's leaving and then somebody's, uh, coming in. So somebody's winning, somebody's losing, somebody's going to become a have, and somebody's going to become a have not. It is what it is. And the more you prepare yourself, the better your chances. The more you prepare yourself, the better your chances. Uh, when we look at training ourselves, finding things that we can do to generate and make extra money. We said bartering, yeah, that's an even thing, but you can put yourself in a position where you can work for cash, additional cash. That's diversifying your income, finding ways to do things. You will find more people who they say a hustle. You will find more people in an economy like now that's doing a hustle, whether it's doing hair on the side, uh, cutting grass on the side, babysitting on the side. There are people walking people's dogs. Now, for all the people that's got animals, that's another expense. That's another expense, just like having a child. You got medical expenses. There people got life insurance on their pets. All this stuff. So it's more money, more money, more money. So you got to figure out how you're going to do all this, especially if you depend on a job for 90% of your income. If your job supplies 90 to 100% of your income, you definitely got to be looking harder, especially this year. Okay. Now, we might have until June. We might have until June. But people are using their skill sets to cutting grass, washing cars. People are handyman. I see more handyman people at Home Depot and Lowe's. If you can fix anything or repair anything, it's a good time to do it. Oh, here's some side hustles. I had to throw this in there. Here are a couple of side hustles that you can do. I mean, with very minimum skill set. There are people making money on the internet doing stuff. What's the stuff? TikTok, all this stuff. Rent your car out. Become an online coach. Build passive residual income. Offer in-person services. Shopping for people. Picking up people's orders. Starting a YouTube channel like we're doing over here. Monetize your property. There are people that are taking their houses and Airbnb them. Also letting people with non-threatening illnesses live in their house. You get paid to do that. Start a product online, do freelance work. You'd be surprised. Launch a paid newsletter, subscription, promote other brands. Oh yeah, you can promote people business, make money. There's more people call me and say, hey, what's your Google listing expired? They get paid to do that. Lease out your garage or your yard space for storage. People need storage. People paying anywhere between $200-300 a month to store stuff. Learn a new trade. Tutor college student. You smart, find ways to tutor high schools, anything like that, anybody like that. Sublease your real estate, resell clothes, start a volume photography business, wash other people's clothes. Doing that has always been popular. My mom did that back in the day, washed and ironed people's clothes, started an independent moving company. Oh yeah, you can rent a U-Haul it and you can hold a U-Haul it down all day, rent it out, and help people move, especially around the latter part of the month to the first part of the month. Help others with odd jobs. Apps like TaskRabbit. You can get these apps, you can find work to do. Offer predetermined services. Fibber. Turn your backyard into an own demand dog park. Man, people doing all kind of stuff. Offer social media ghostwriting. Help people design, Facebook pages, Instagram pages, all that type of stuff. Sell custom baked goods, create a niche revenue website, create popular playlists. You'd be surprised what people need. DJs need that all the time. Purchase a vending machine. Oh man, goodness, that's a powerful thing. I'll have to talk about that in a little bit. Become a wedding officiant. People getting married, referee sports on the weekends. Uh, it's so many things that you can do. We got a list, and I hope you play this back, look at it. But there's so many things you can do. But I want to share this real quick. Uh, uh, if you can't think of nothing to do, if you can't think of nothing that you can do to make money, there's so many things. We just have to concentrate and say, what can I do? What kind of need can I fulfill? and it don't have to be nothing complicated. Uh, I had a lady, she would uh, record, she had a good voice. She would record people's voicemails. You know, when you call a business and you got that big tone, she would go in there and say, "This is this is Bob with Bob's cleaning services, and Bob is currently unavailable." And just from giving a better thing, but she would charge them something like $20. She had a bunch of folk that she would just overdo or do overdubs on their voicemails. There's so many things that people can do to generate money during a hard time. Believe it or not, there's always some work. Now, if you got physical work, if you physically able, you can do a lot of work. If you physically able, you can do a lot of work. But just say you're not physically able to do a lot of physical work. Yeah, I'm a senior citizen. I'm not trying to go out there and pick no blackberries, throw some watermelons on the back of a truck, go out to UPS and sling some boxes. It's too much work. It is what it is. Uh, so I got to figure out some other way. You know, I just turned what 64, so I got to figure out some other way to gently make some money. To gently make some money. So there are things that I can do. Training people. If you was a person that worked in a particular area, you can train people and get paid. You'd be surprised. I mean, especially now with all this online stuff, you can train people. Like with me, I have a window tint training course. Train people how to do window tint. Train people how to wash cars. You'd be surprised. And you know, uh, I'm just throw this out here. You can train a person to do anything, and people are willing to pay some money to learn how to train. You can train people how to handle conflicts, all this type of stuff. You know, just take some time to put it together. And the simplest way to do something, make some money, is to start doing it. Got quiet. But the simplest way to do something and make some money is start doing it. Everything I ever started, we just started doing it. Before you knew it, was making money doing it. I mean, and I guess I could say I'm a serial entrepreneur. I mean, uh, I just throw this out here. Even long before Uber, you know, DJing, yeah, we did that. But uh, uh, giving people a ride. I mean, before Uber, we were my brother and I. Uh, the first job I ever had, he got a job, but we had a car. I bought a car for a $400 car. Believe it or not, back in the day, and we would put people in that car, take them on the college campus, take them back and forth, $5 a trip. Oh man, we didn't get rich. But I'll tell you this, we was able to get the things we wanted to do for some 20-year-olds. You see what I'm saying? But as we go through the numbers, there's so many things that you can do to generate income during a down economy. There are people that need paperwork done. You know, I was recently, uh, people need uh, paperwork filled out, what is for Medicare. Uh, People need grants. Uh, so many things that people just, man, just don't have time to do it. You can find gentle work, not hard, heavy lifting work. If you good on the computer, if you are pretty stable, there are people that are paying people to stand in line for them. It is what it is. There's so many opportunities that you can do during a pandemic, or pandemonium, a recession, or inflation. If you can't, like I said, if you don't want to be one of the have-nots, if you don't want to be one of the have-nots, there's some things you can do to become a have. You might have to team up with some people, okay? That means that if you see these survival shows, people teaming up, you're going to have to be a team player. You might have to ditch some of the habits, okay? Some of the things that costing you money, whether it be cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, excessive spending, going out, spending money. You know, I'll say this real quick. Since COVID, the number one spenders are mostly black people. We're the number one at the mall. We're the number one at the restaurants. Yeah, we spending more money than anybody. Even the hotels that see people on vacation, we spending more than anybody. So I want you to think about that. Okay, so we can reduce the amount of money we can control that. And if money gets real tight, get yourself in a position where you, your family, and your loved ones could survive. And we got to protect ourselves. The other thing, I have to throw that out there because during extreme times, you might be okay. You might be okay, but you're gonna have to protect your assets, what you have, because there are other people that will try to either take what you have. So you're going to have to protect it. Even if you got money in investments, banks, and whatnot, you're going to have to be watching it all the time. Check it because there are people. I think Hussein Bolt, somebody just took $12 million. I mean, goodness, out of one of his accounts. The Bitcoin guy was taking people's money. So you're going to have to be watching your money. Everything that you have investment. We recently did, and it's been about 3 years ago, had about 8 people over 50 years old. We asked them, what would they do in a bad economy? People say, well, my retirement check, I got bank accounts, I got investments and this and that. Everybody has something. But when the stuff hit the fan and those things were either compromised, especially when COVID hit, people found out that even if they retired, they didn't have enough money to survive. 'Cause every month, 30 days, them bills were coming because they were spending more than they were making. They found out that the bank account didn't have enough money to sustain themselves. Then people got medical expenses went up. You got meds, you stressed out and stuff like that. You know, it's gonna cost you more to buy things that will keep you healthy and alive. All that's gonna cost more money. So we have to keep ourselves thinking and how we can put ourselves in a better position. Now, over the next 100 days, and we're putting this out everywhere, over the next 100 days, in order to put yourself in a better position so that you can be stronger spiritually, mentally, physically, and socially and economically. One is spend at least 10 minutes a day with me, myself, and I. Just yourself, just to calm down. That way, no matter how bad it gets, you won't be freaking out. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be one of them that panic, you know. Uh, and you got all these resources. Number two, figure out a way to uh, drink some water every day, some warm water. You'd be surprised how it's going to make you feel. It's going to reduce your appetite. Okay, that's going to help you save money on eating, all this type of stuff. Because we're going to just that, them two right there, get you exercise. Because we want to keep this body in the best shape it can be. Because you might be in a position where there are people that come to get what you got. You're going to have to be able to get away, and you might have to defend yourself. Also, save $1, just $1 a day. Focus is discipline. You start this tonight. Save $1 a day. For the next 100 days, you will have $100. No, if you save $1 a day over the next 100 days, you will have $100 in 100 days. Now, people say, Drum, there ain't no money. I can't do nothing with $100. You'd be surprised how many people could use $100 tonight. Okay, that doesn't belong to anybody but them, and you can use it whatever you want to do. Number what? Uh, Contact your family, friends, and loved ones because these are going to be the resources of people that you can use and might be able to tap into their skill sets during a depression, a recession, or some inflation. You'd be surprised how many of your family members can, whether get you to hook up, that collectively come together. I got a brother-in-law. We all get to meet from him. He the meat man. I got a vegetable guy. He a vegetable guy cut down on all our costs. And you'd be surprised how many people within your network got services and things you can use. Uh, Also, during hard times, pandemonium, support a black-owned business. hmm Support a local black-owned business. Spend some money with them. Spend some money with them, or trade or barter with them. Keep them going because we need stronger communities, especially during a recession or depression, when the bottom falls out of our neighborhoods, you ain't gonna have nowhere to go live or socialize. So you want to make sure those businesses stay afloat. One of the things also, I encourage you to read this one book, or well, two books really. This helps you to deal with change. Who Moved My Cheese? Now, this helps you to deal with flip flop economies, flip flop economies, where you got a depression going on, a recession, inflation. You get familiar with what? Change, because stuff's going to change. It's not going to go back. Well, stuff does repeat. It's just like it does repeat, but it doesn't go back the same way. You can't stick it back in and press rewind and get it back. It's going to come out different. Okay. So you got to prepare yourself for change. That takes ongoing daily things. Also, there's a book by Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. Oh, you definitely need to read Powernomics, because even if there's let's see, as sure as the spring will fall, follow the winter, prosperity and economic growth will follow recession. As sure as the spring will follow the winter, prosperity and economic growth will follow a recession. That's from Bo Bennett, and that's so true. See, like people did well during the depression. They did big companies forward. You don't let it get you twisted. You can come out of this thing on top. You can survive. Uh, and yeah, that book, Powernomics, can put you in a different mindset. So what to do? And it talks about budgeting, all that type stuff in there, and we can put ourselves in a position so we can strengthen ourselves. Okay, it doesn't have to be all that doom and gloom. Even though we spit it out, it was hard when it got started. It's going to be harder before it gets through. There are going to be people on the right and on the left going to be crying, weeping, and gnashing all this stuff. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you can be chilling. Now, I'm not saying you're going to ignore it, but you don't have to be worrying about the things that other people worry about, because you know what? Just like the night is going to turn into day, and the day is going to turn into night. It's part of a cycle. It's a cycle. These things keep going. But if you're panicking, putting yourself in a position, anxiety, stressing yourself out, all this stuff, you ain't going to make it. You're not going to make it. You're going to be a have not. So in order to be a have, and you don't have to have a lot. You just have to have the things that you need. You'll find out during a depressed type economy, or inflated, overpriced economy, or a recession, that you can put yourself in position so that you won't need all the stuff everybody else using. And then you'll find yourself, if you're saving your money and you're saving your resources, you can flip it. And people are going to be selling stuff cheap because they're going to need money. They're going to need this. You know, uh, you'll be just like a pawn shop. Trust me. If you can sustain yourself and you can get your family to do the same thing, you can buy land cheaper, you can buy businesses cheaper, all that stuff. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. But anyway, this is Reginald Drummer, the Peopleologist, and I hope some of this help you to strategize with your family. Start with yourself, but strategize within your family or your community, and figure out a way that you can survive in a during a hard time. Okay, and it's going to take some collaboration. Those things that we mentioned, bartering, new skill sets, all that type of stuff, it's going to be easy. And if you can put a village of people together, it doesn't have to be 100 folk. You can take about 5 folk, and y'all can turn this thing around within your family. Trust me, it works. You can be just like those people that bought a house. 5 of them. Every time they come in, 5 people come out, go in, and guess what? They go get another house. They take maybe 2 with them. Then they take it voting in the house. For you know what? Within 5 years, everybody's got a house, and they renting the basements out. Okay, and the house will be paid for in like 5 years. This is what people doing. But anyway, this is Reginald Drummer, the Peopleologist. I hope that you continue to like, share, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hit that notification button over here at Square Mile Media Atlanta, and get ready for our next show next week. And remember this: I don't care how bad it gets, how much hell people catch it. We still got to know one thing: The secret to walking on water is just knowing where the rocks are. The secret to everything out here, right up here in our head. So let's ride the storm out. It's gonna be okay. Put your seatbelt on. Lock yourself in a locked position. Put on some good music and stay focused at all times. This is Reginald Drummer, the Peopleologist, and make it a great day.